Hello everyone, Ace here, and today let's talk about a recent lawsuit that Google is now facing, which alleges that Google is in fact a racist company against black people, as highlighted by this article written by Curtis Bunn of NBC News titled, "Black Women Allege Google Fosters Racist Culture in Lawsuit Against the Company." Attorney Benjamin Crump says former employees are coming forward in a class action lawsuit with similar stories about the culture at the search engine giant. Now, of course, this particular story caught my eye because Google happens to own YouTube, and thus I wouldn't exactly be surprised if this particular lawsuit happens to affect YouTube as well in some capacity, even if just indirectly. But to get back to the topic at hand, let's go ahead and read about some of those allegations, shall we? With one of the allegations being made by an individual named April Curley, which the article has this to say, quote, "April Curley, a former diversity recruiter hired by Google to lure black workers from historically black colleges and universities, filed the lawsuit against the company saying that during her 6-year stint she witnessed people of color, including herself, typecast into jobs with no upward mobility or passed over altogether. Although she brought in 500 black young workers to Google, she was not promoted during her time at the company, from 2014 to 2020, she said. Worse, she further alleges in the lawsuit that there was a systemic practice of racial bias, that black people were not googly enough, meaning they did not fit the culture, and her concerns were not addressed when she raised them to supervisors. Instead, she was fired in 2020. So ultimately, the allegations being made by April Curley here appear to be pretty vague, and honestly, I am not convinced that they are legitimate. These could very easily be some falsified claims just to make a quick buck. That said, Google is a woke company that has bought into the ideology of social justice, and social justice is a fundamentally racist ideology. So it is also possible that the claims are actually valid. Honestly, this sounds like the sort of thing that the courts should sort out, and hopefully that is what happens, rather than Google just deciding to settle out of court or something. That said, this is of course just one of the individuals making the allegations, so let's look at the other, a person by the name of Chloe Sled, and the NBC article has this to say about her, quote, "Chloe Sled, a graduate of Howard University, came forward 2 days after Curley's suit was filed and has joined it. She alleges in the lawsuit that she considered Google her dream job, but when she began her career there in 2013, it was a nightmare almost immediately," she said, adding that a white coworker began to sexually harass her. "It started off with 5 comments in the micro kitchen and hallways and grew to sexually explicit messages over the company chat," Sled said at the Monday press conference. "As a new mixed black female employee in a company of less than 1% of people who looked like me, I was terrified of losing my job." She confided in a male coworker who brushed it off and told her to ignore the unwanted advances, she said. The harassment intensified. Sled said she informed human resources, and the HR person, a woman, made her feel like she had caused the harassment. "After that interview, I never heard anything," she said. "I never got a formal response from the company addressing my experiences and offering any kind of results. The white male continued his job at Google, and I was expected to maintain the same performance despite being a victim of sexual harassment on their watch. The environment in the office was so white dominant, and racial insensitivity was common in their day-to-day chatter. So when I tried to speak up about that, our head of our team told me not to complain and to just get along. It was awful." So let's now talk about these allegations being made by Chloe Sledge. And simply put, I believe they are even more suspicious than the ones made by April Curley. For a start, we get the classic nearly decade-old allegations that are the go-to method to fraudulently try to smear someone, specifically because of how difficult it is to prove that the person making those allegations are lying through their teeth. In addition, the quotes make it very clear that this person has bought into critical race theory, and faking hate crimes to gain clout is just something that critical race theorists are known for doing at this point. So currently, I am not convinced by the allegations made by either of these two individuals. All that said, it is still entirely possible that Google is in fact guilty, which is why I nevertheless want to see this actually go to court. But even then, I would have to say that regardless of whether Google is actually guilty or innocent of the accusations being made against it, I ultimately believe that this is a problem of Google's own making when it decided as a company to placate the ideology of social justice. And now it would appear that Google is getting a taste of its own medicine. Now, of course, I will be providing an archived link to the article so you can check it out for yourself. And of course, I will also be endeavoring to keep an eye on this particular lawsuit and see what comes of it, as well as provide updates to you, the viewer, when they do come. But in any case, this has been Ace. Hope to see you guys again soon. Take care. Ace out.